Pitter patter. Let's get at her. It is another episode of the Mainly Broncos podcast. We are 1 day away from the NFL draft. It's finally here. The free agency crept up on us, and 1 month later, we are here. We are here at the NFL draft, and what better time to have 6 people participate in the NFL draft? It started out with, I think, like 3 people when we had done the if you will, the mock draft, and it's exploded now. It's exploded now to the 6 people that you see in front of you, and we'll start from the bottom with Levi Dombro, who's a writer over there at the Just Blog Baby site over there at Fansided. I think we have a pretty good idea what might be happening at pick number 1. But we digress. And obviously we start following Levi with AndyNFL, the draft guru, right there on the bottom. And obviously a mainly Broncos alum over there with Brandon Miller PO over there in the bottom left. David Talks Broncos. You know him over on the David Talks Buffs, David Talks Broncos channel. And, of course, the Miami Hurricane fan himself, Jordan Lopez over there in the middle. And then myself at Cameron Parker PO over here in the top left. We've got you covered. It's going to be an absolute blast. But first things first, gentlemen, thank you so much for hopping on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Be fun.
It's going to be an absolute blast. I mean, Brandon knows, like we were doing some like things like where it was just like the 2 of us, the 3 of us, and I think the easiest way to do this is with 6 people. I would say it's going to be a little bit difficult to do trades. As fantastic as it would be to trade out of the number 1 pick, Levi, it would be a little bit easier to do no trades for picks 1 to 32.
No, but instead what you can do is just have them take someone other than Fernando Mendoza and just throw everything into chaos. Tell me it wouldn't be fun.
It would not be fun.
No, it wouldn't be fun at all.
So the way we do it is that every single person will be assigned a pick. Obviously, there will end up being, different teams, if you will, that are assigned for each of the gents here. So as you can clearly see that Levi will lead us off with the Las Vegas Raiders, and so Levi, I guess the appropriate question to ask you, Levi, is this going to be a case even tomorrow? Is this going to be a case where the Raiders take the full amount of time, the allotted time for them to select Fernando Mendoza, or will there be like it's quick, it's happening right now?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the powers that be in the NFL want it to, be turned in immediately. I have dreams of not even seeing 7:58 on the clock there, but I think they're going to turn in the card fairly quickly, especially with the 8 minutes, less trades. Spytek said he's always listening, but I don't think he's listening to calls on this, so I'll go ahead and write that in Sharpie there.
Yeah.
Thank God there's not somebody else in this draft named Fernando Mendoza.
There's Fernando Carmona in the 6th or 7th round there. So
he might turn in the wrong card.
Yeah, well, thank God he's working for Sirius XM now and not for an NFL team. So whatever he's doing.
Right. Well, should we kick things off and get this thing started here?
Yeah, let's do it. Turn in the card.
All right. So with that, and we come prepared over here. We queued up the music because the pick is in. Fernando Mendoza. All right, David. That puts you with the earliest conundrum of this entire draft as at this point.
Yeah, what do we do? What do we do, right? We can't draft Ty Simpson here. Bad move. You want to draft a quarterback probably next year. I'm getting a ton of calls. There's all these rumors, right? Saints trying to move up for Arvell Reese. Man, forget that. We're picking him right now. At number 2. He's only 20 years old. If he did do all the testing, he would be a 10 RAS guy. And my good friend AndyNFL says elite downhill blitzer. He's only 20 years old. He's an elite decision maker. His upside is endless. Who else can you say that about? Arvell Reese.
So you're saying the pick is in?
Oh, yeah. That's the one we made.
Okay. So we're going.
Oh, dang.
You got the double picks, man.
Yeah.
There was a trade. Who traded up?
Saints.
That puts the Arizona Cardinals and AndyNFL on the clock. Are the New Orleans Saints trading up to 3? In this situation, Andy.
They could, because I think Arizona will be not aggressively, but I think teams will be aggressively calling to try and move up to 3 for possibly David Bailey, possibly Sonny Styles. There's a multitude of guys, but I think Arvell Reese going 2 takes some teams out of the equation. And at 3, I'm going to operate under the thought process that the Cardinals will stick at 3 and go with Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. I believe ownership is in love with them, and I think ownership is pounding the table for him right now. I've heard that all day, and let's add some explosion to that offense in Arizona.
So the pick is in for Arizona, and it will be Jeremiah Love. What is the overall consensus on him actually being like the best player in this draft?
In terms of if you look at like everyone's board on a consensus standpoint, I think he is number 1 on more than like half of the boards I've seen. He's number 2 for me in the class.
That puts the Tennessee Titans on the clock. Where are we going?
Well, I think the Titans in this scenario are going to be pretty upset because I think that they want Jeremiah Love actually at 4. I don't know if that's the best move to make for that franchise, but I mean, I get the hype. I feel like that's the biggest connection I've heard made is Tennessee loves Jeremiah Love, but he's not available right now. And there's another guy though who is, and I think we all know how much Robert Saleh loved Fred Warner in San Francisco, and here he has Sonny Styles Jr. staring at him at pick number 4, available from Ohio State. We're gonna give him the other player who could be viewed and probably is viewed by some as the best player in this draft. And I know, Andy, specifically, I'm looking at your board. You have him as actually, I think, the number 1 player on your board. So we're going to give him being Robert Saleh, another amazing linebacker in Sonny Styles.
Okay, so the pick is in for the Tennessee Titans. And that would be Sonny Styles. Are you being a Miami Hurricane fan, Jordan? Are we okay with this? It's not a weapon for Cam Ward on the offensive side of the ball, but I guess you could say it's a weapon for the team on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we'll be fine with it. I mean, I would have loved if he would have paired up with one of his former teammates, but it is what it is. We gotta just march on. Hopefully, the Titans could do good with Cam Ward.
So
I think they want Jeremiah Love, but I have a hard time seeing Sonny Styles on the board there and not picking him up for that defense for Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
So that leaves the Giants on the clock, and obviously for anybody that missed it, the Giants ran a bombshell about a week ago. And acquired the 10th overall pick from the Cincinnati Bengals. So they ended up with 2 top 10 picks. So they have the 5th pick and then the 10th overall pick here coming up. And Jordan is tasked with the first of those. So what's the idea here? And, is the pick in, Jordan?
Oh, the pick is in. All
right.
Francis Mainoa will be the pick here. He's been linked to the Giants since day one. He's still being linked to them. I can see him probably going to 10, but we will be going with him now at number 5. I like him with the Giants and Harbaugh solidifying that line.
Okay. I think that kind of leaves the Cleveland Browns a little bit into a bit of a conundrum because I think that they probably would want some offensive line, but I think that I think that given the fact that it's probably relatively a deep offensive line class, I think can kind of save them a little bit. I'm actually tasked with having both Browns selections, so I will try my hardest to spoil the Shedeur Sanders QB1 conversation here at some point.
Oh no! Oh no!
But I would have to say that I think the pick is in for the Cleveland Browns, so their first of 2 first round picks. We'll roll with Spencer. I believe, what is it? Spencer Fano. The other tackle, the other tackle that is on the board for the Cleveland Browns. We were probably thinking about a weapon there for the Browns, but given the fact we have a much later pick, we can maybe see if we can get a weapon there a little bit later on. There for our next pick. So that will put the Washington Commanders and Levi back on the clock.
Yeah, man, the value here with David Bailey is pretty hard to pass up, but I know Washington spent big at edge this offseason. They went and got Odafe Owe, they got Chase on, and they've got a Menahue in the room there too. And I'm looking at Carnell Tate. I mean, not really a true number 1 wideout, but I don't think you need that if you've got Terry McLaurin. I mean, you're looking at, I love Luke McCaffrey, my old high school club basketball teammate. And Traylon Burks, and talented guys, but not quite as proven. And Ohio State receivers are a pretty safe bet. He's not really tremendous in anything, but he's good at everything. Sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. So I guess I'll continue the David Bailey slide. I think I'll go Carnell Tate here.
Go Carnell Tate. So we roll with Carnell Tate, and Andy, you're a big fan of Carnell Tate.
Yep, finishes my wide receiver 1.
So that will put the New Orleans Saints on the clock at number 8. David.
It's David Bailey.
David Bailey.
He's done falling. New Orleans needs an edge rusher. It's him. It could be Ruben Bain, but this ain't college football. You can't have T-Rex arms to be a top 10 pick.
Oh, here we go.
Pick is in for the New Orleans Saints.
David Bailey.
David Bailey. Do we actually think he actually slides this far?
No.
No.
If he does, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
True. Now, Andy, this is your one and only chance. One and only chance to ruin the Kansas City Chiefs with this pick at 9, or you can do the smart thing and maybe go with the route of what you think actually happens on this one.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go Carson Beck for them. Although
I was going to say Ty Simpson's available.
Although I would like to see Carson Beck drafted to the Chiefs at 9. I'm really between 3 players here. Actually, 4. Ruben Bain, Caleb Downs, Mansour Delane, and Jordan Tyson all make sense here in my opinion. Just so many different ways. This is really like I think one of the best case scenarios for the Chiefs if they stick at 9. But I'm gonna have the pick in right now.
Okay.
Pick music.
Pick is in.
With the 9th overall pick, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to select Mansour Delane in this mock. Mansour Delane, one of my favorite prospects in the draft overall, by far my cornerback one. Tested really well at his pro day. Such good tape this year. I think he's a prototype cornerback one in this league, and losing Trent McDuffie this offseason, he's a plug-and-play replacement, and Steve Spagnuolo will like that fit a lot, I think.
30-inch arms.
That puts the Miami Dolphins there at the New York Giants. It's the second pick of their.
I was going to say this was the trade from the Bengals.
Yeah, this is a trade for the Bengals that warranted Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals. So where are we going on this one, Brandon? Obviously, with the first pick, they went with the tackle out of Miami. So where are we going next?
Man, this was a difficult one for me to look at because I'm seeing the second. I'm the second pick of the Giants in the first round here, and I definitely think offensive line is probably their biggest need right now. I mean, their right tackle, they just thankfully freed up with and replaced with Mauanoa, is 31, but they also don't really have a fantastic interior. And it's like, man, do I give them back-to-back offensive line picks? I don't know, but Vega Ioane is sitting there, and he's like amazing. He also is like could be one of the best players even in the draft, and absolutely like the best guard by far. One of the better or even could be seen as the best offensive lineman in the draft, right? So that's an option. Although you also look at, Jordan Tyson sitting there available. I don't know what they think about his medicals, but they kind of have a need to go after some additional weapons for Jackson Dart. And they have Malik Neighbors, but he also is coming off of an injury, and that's kind of all that they have. So I'm torn. I think that I would go.
Is the pick in?
The pick is in. I'm going to go with Jordan Tyson.
Okay.
As much as I wanted to give them Vega Ioane, just because he's so good and that would show up their offensive line, I don't think I could see them going to offensive linemen in the first round. If the first pick had gone in a different direction, I think that's what I would have done. But they're going to go with Jordan Tyson.
That will put the Miami Dolphins there on the clock. Now, Jordan, you live in Florida. Now this is your turn to ruin the entire franchise of the Miami Dolphins with this selection, or you can actually do the smart thing and maybe go with the route that we think that they might go.
I will be doing it right by the Dolphins just because of who's involved, but the pick is in for the Dolphins.
Pick is in for the Dolphins.
Just like in Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, I will also be selecting for the Dolphins Reuben Bain Jr. He is staying home.
He stays home. It's a good pick. That will put the Dallas Cowboys on the clock, and obviously there's been a lot circulating around George Pickens as of late, even though he was franchise tagged and, about possibly moving up in the draft or whatever. I will say I don't think they if the board kind of falls the way it does on this one, you kind of are happy with it, based on one, they need a fair amount of defense, and there's a player that is staring at you in the face there for the Dallas Cowboys. So the pick is in for not America's team. We're going to go with Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State.
Great pick.
And so that will put the Los Angeles Rams on the clock. And there's been some speculation about wide receiver. This has also been, I think it's also, according to Peter Schrager, this has been a bit of a popular pick for Kenyon Sadiq. So where are we kind of rolling with this one, Levi?
Yeah, I was looking at Sadiq, super intriguing with how many multiple tight end sets they use. I mean, Sean McVay is just a sicko, and I can't believe they get to pick this high. I mean, I was looking at their roster, and it's like they don't have any like real true needs. It's kind of unfair that they're up here. But I mean, Mekhi Lemon makes a lot of sense. Local kid, right? USC, and he's again not like electric after the catch, but he's super quick. I mean, he's tough. He's sort of a Ramsey receiver there, and even though they've already got Puka, they've already got Devontae. I mean, Adams isn't gonna play forever, so I guess pick is in here.
Pick is in.
Yeah, with the 13th pick, Rams are going to go with Mekhi Lemon, keep building out the receiver core, and keep making life difficult for the NFC West, which is not my issue, but good for them.
Mekhi Lemon and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua is just nasty. Yeah. That will put the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. This has been a bit of a a Kenyon Sadiq landing spot. What was it? Daniel Jeremiah, I believe, was it? He had Sadiq going to Baltimore. David, is that your pick?
No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. This Baltimore Ravens defense was a travesty last year. It was an embarrassment. I picked them to win the Super Bowl last year, and they didn't even make the playoffs, man. They were signing guys that got cut from playoff teams onto their roster to play DB for them. It was disgusting. The pick is in. Hit the bell. It is Andy's number 2 cornerback on his big board, Jermod McCoy. Dude, this guy ran a 4.38 40. He can run with the best of them. Big-time athlete. 6 interceptions, 14 pass defenses in his last 2 seasons. Finally, Baltimore gets a corner worth a damn.
That's okay. We'll see if it actually, becomes of something, if you will, and becomes the next Jimmy Smith.
Yes.
The great corner over there in Baltimore. That puts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock, and obviously Bronco fans know them all too well for sniping Emeka Egbuka from us. They are at pick 15, Andy. Are they going to be crushing the hopes of what was Bronco fans once they had pick 30?
I mean, they could, because this is the worst spot in the draft. I'm going to be real, because Tampa has 2 clear needs. It's edge rusher and it's linebacker. And if you just look at those boards right now, none of those guys match up to the value of the 15th pick in my eyes. And I've heard so many times that this is a team that's going to try and trade out of this pick, trade down. But in this scenario where there is no trades, I'm going to do something that's probably not going to happen in real life, but I could see it happen and I would like it a lot. So the pick is in here.
All right.
And I'm going to go with Kenyon Sadiq for the Buccaneers here.
Wow. Yeah,
I think them losing Mike Evans, they could use another playmaker, and running a 2 tight end set with Kenyon Sadiq and Cade Otton would really continue to unlock that offense in my eyes.
Baker Mayfield would be quite happy
Very much so.
with tight end sets of Cade Otton and Kenyon Sadiq. That puts the New York Jets back on the clock, and obviously with the 2nd overall selection, they took Avril Reese. So on this one, Brandon, where are we going with on this one?
Yeah. Well, this is unfortunately.
Oh, you're muted, Brandon. Jesus.
I unplugged my mic accidentally when I was moving things
So
around.
exciting.
Yeah, so this is an interesting position to be in, because the Jets obviously need a quarterback. This is not the draft to take a quarterback, but you've heard some ties to them and Ty Simpson. I don't know if I believe that. I don't believe that actually at all. But I think that they do need some additional weapons for the quarterback that they're probably going to take next year. Other than Garrett Wilson, they also have like Adonai Mitchell, but how much do they really trust him? They already got their defensive superstar here, so I think I'm going to give them Omar Cooper from Indiana.
Oh,
I was
no.
thinking about Christy Concepcion, but I just think Omar Cooper. He seems to be an Aaron Glenn guy. Like he's like that physical, tough weapon that Aaron Glenn would covet, and I'm gonna give him to the Jets.
All right, so the pick is in for the Jets, and it's gonna absolutely rock David's world.
Yes.
Omar Cooper is is a
He,
first
he
round.
was destined to be a Dallas Cowboy, but all right.
I was gonna think about taking him at 13 with the Rams if Lemon wasn't on the board there. So I'm a huge fan of him.
Yeah.
I wanted to take Lemon, but he went first.
Yeah.
So that puts the Detroit Lions, Jordan, on the clock, and obviously they had a bit of a down year. Do they rise from the ashes of what that season was last year with this pick?
Well, I think the worst kept secret in the draft for the Lions is that they're going to go offensive tackle, and they're looking for to solidify that offensive line. Right now, there's two guys that I see the Lions taking. One of them being Blake Miller, and the other one being Monroe Freeling. The pick is in for sure, so you can cue the music.
Cue the music, just like in Deadpool.
The offensive tackle I'll be selecting for the Lions would be Blake Miller from Clemson. I see him more as a Detroit Lion than Monroe Freeling, just because I think Miller's more of just like a road runner, just a smashing type of guy, and that's what Dan Campbell likes. So let's go with Blake Miller.
That will put the Minnesota Vikings on the clock, and I will say this: you talk about worst kept secret. This feels like kind of the worst kept secret of probably like any team as of late. When you kind of see some of the stuff as far as the mock drafts, and this just feels like it's a match made in heaven. You know, you have a certain player on that defense that actually is, you know, hanging it up, and it's moving on. And so this one feels like very much a slam dunk pick, if you will, as far as like one of the few that very much feels like it's going to happen. So the pick is in here for the Minnesota Vikings. And that means that the Minnesota Vikings will select Dylan Tiedemann, the safety from Oregon.
Man. It's going to be my pick.
So that puts the Carolina Panthers on the clock. Now, obviously, there's been some talk as far as with Jacob Rodriguez that this might be one of his earliest slots. Within the first round, and obviously, you and I had the pleasure to watch him at the Senior Bowl there, Levi.
Yeah.
Are you jumping on the Jacob Rodriguez first round pick train?
I don't think I can go that high. I mean, for being an off-ball linebacker, I think we're already being a little greedy with like one or two in the first round. I don't think he's gonna go here. I mean, again, Vega's such a good player. It's just I don't know if that's their top need. I look at the Panthers as, you know, what Dan Morgan said. There's no rule against drafting 3 wide receivers in the first round 3 years in a row. I mean, they're kind of, you know, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is interesting too, because I know they've got Trayvon Merrick back there kind of playing strong safety, which is not, he's better as a deep safety. I'll, you know, feel comfortable saying that as a Raiders fan. So this is interesting. I don't know how these GMs do it in 8 minutes, but
yeah,
I think, all right, we'll go the pick is in. I feel good
Well, I
about
think
this.
they also have, months of homework.
Exactly. The Panthers are going to take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Might be a little bit high for him, but I don't know. They've already invested a lot in the receiver position, and I think when he gets on the clock there, Dan Morgan might look at it as a little bit too much of a gamble to go 3 wideouts 3 years in a row. So a little help for the back end of the defense there with Dylan Tiedemann getting taken out of their grasp there.
So that puts the Dallas Cowboys back on the clock with 20. And obviously the recent pick that they just had, they took Caleb Downs, who you could say just fell into their lap there with their pick. That puts you, David. I had the first pick of the Cowboys. You're now tasked with their second pick. Where is the Cowboys going with in this direction?
Well, this is a kind of tough one because I still feel like corner is a big need for the Cowboys. Is Tyler Guyton really that great? No, I don't think he is. So we're going to decide this with who's the top player ranked on Andy's big board. So cue the music.
Cue the music.
This guy's way better than Tyler Guyton. Monroe Freeling. Get that guy off the Cowboys roster. Let's go.
Monroe Freeling. That puts the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. Now, obviously, Pittsburgh is the location for this NFL draft. And that puts the Steelers in a precarious situation to piss off Aaron Rodgers by taking Ty Simpson, Andy.
Yeah, well, I would think about it, but it's ultimately not where I'm going here. Because my number 1 ranked offensive lineman is still on the board, and I can snipe the Chargers. I think Pittsburgh is going to be aggressive for an offensive lineman, whether that's Monroe Freeling or who I'm taking here, and the pick is in. And that's Vega Ioane, who, in my opinion, best offensive lineman in the entire draft. I am such a huge fan of him.
I think Chargers fans are going to throw up.
Yeah, I think he could be a Pro Bowler as a rookie. So
Agreed.
I'm really
Exactly
glad.
who I was picking.
I'm really glad to keep him out of the AFC West.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy he's not going
Yeah.
to the Chargers, but that was my written in pen selection that I had going before we got on the clock here. So that's unfortunate. Oh man, that puts the Chargers in a little bit of an interesting position because I do think that they definitely still need an offensive lineman. I don't know if is it Lomu, is it Proctor? It really depends on who are they really wanting to kind of go after. But I also think they desperately need pass rush help in any way that they can get it because they just are not productive enough. And Killamak is 35. They just signed him to a 1-year deal. So, I mean, maybe they're going to try to go roll it back with that. And even with, obviously the offensive line for the Chargers kind of imploded last year, but then also so did their entire offense and Justin Herbert entirely in the playoffs. So, all right, we're gonna shake things up a little bit here, but the pick is in.
All right, the pick is in for the for the Los Angeles Chargers.
For the Chargers. All right, we're gonna give the Chargers Malachi Lawrence from UCF.
Oh,
he is probably one of the biggest risers in recent memory. I think he's definitely going in the first round. He's just so athletic and so gifted and talented as a pass rusher, and they absolutely need any kind of juice that they can get there. I think he would be interesting, and who knows how they feel about Keldrick Falk. I thought about Keldrick Falk. I feel like just the board on him is so it depends on what the team thinks, right? What do they really think about his production the last 2 years? So I'm going to give them the other guy, Malachi Lawrence.
I love it.
Yeah, that one took me by surprise. Obviously, he's generating a lot of first round buzz, but yeah, was not expecting Malachi Lawrence, and actually probably just
got to be Vega Ioane.
Yeah.
That was what it was going to be, but that didn't happen.
So that puts the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock with pick 23, Jordan. Where are we going?
Well, I also do think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be scouring for an offensive tackle, maybe even a pass rusher, but there's an offensive tackle that still has not been selected. And I do feel like if he does fall all the way down here and the Eagles are still selecting at 23, they may select him. So the pick is in.
All right, so the pick is in.
We are going to go with the offensive tackle from Alabama's go, Caden Proctor.
So Caden Proctor to the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, Lane Johnson's getting up there in age. He's up there for one more year. That puts the Cleveland Browns for not just one, but two, if you will, for their first round picks. They went with Spencer Fano with pick 6, and that puts the Browns on there. Obviously, you can't exactly go with, another linebacker to go with Carson Schweschinger. But I think it also feels like maybe they also want to go a little bit more on the wide receiver realm, kind of upgrade a little bit more on that offense, because there's a certain wide receiver there who just continues to drop the ball on a very regular basis. And, with the name Jerry Jeudy over there.
All right.
You guys know him?
But no, I think it still would not hurt to go after, some of those playmaker wide receivers for Cleveland, and there's a few to choose. There's a few to choose from, obviously, and it may snipe a future team, if you will, and it might be just a tad bit high for one of them, but the pick is in. We're going to go with Denzel Boston to the Cleveland Browns at 24.
All right.
That's a good pick. Raiders fans want him at 36. That's I'm not sure if he's going to get there, but
it feels a little bit more like wishful thinking.
Yeah,
in the left
exactly.
far.
Yeah.
So that puts the Chicago Bears with pick 25 on the clock.
Yeah, I think, defensive tackle or defensive end is the play here for Chicago. Concepcion's a little intriguing there with, loss of DJ Moore, but, the guy that sticks out to me is Caden McDonald. I think he's a pretty good player. TJ Parker, obviously very kind of big, powerful, long arm guy. So they got a bunch of good options here, actually, for the Bears, but I think the pick is in. The Bears are going to go with Caden McDonald here. I think he's just a great run stuffer. I'm not sure if he's going to immediately add a ton as an edge rusher or as getting after the quarterback, but the Bears have some solid edge rushers and, a nice piece to add to the middle of the defense there, and, showed that he could stay healthy this year. And so I think he's a nice addition there for the middle of the defense.
Next up is the Buffalo Bills, the team that was very famous in losing to the Denver Broncos in the divisional playoff game. David, obviously one of the greatest games of Broncos memory, but you're tasked with actually helping them out. So you are, in essence, in this scenario, one of the Broncos staff members that joined the Buffalo Bills this offseason. Where are we going?
It's a good question. Need help at edge? Need some wide receivers that can catch the ball? So, who are you going with? You can cue up the music. We're going with the guy who drops the ball all the time, Casey Concepcion.
Casey Concepcion to the Buffalo Bills. In a way, Concepcion and Shakir is kind of nasty, for that offense. That puts the San Francisco 49ers on the clock. Obviously, probably this is where, if Sadiq was even on the board, this is probably where he would likely end. His run would end, if you will. I would just say, Andy. But Sadiq, to the credit of you, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that run ended. But you're now tasked with helping out the 49ers. So what's the plan here for the Levi Stadium 49ers?
Well, the plan was KC Concepcion. Thanks, David.
Yeah, I love that guy.
What I will do here, though, is I'm going to – the offensive line in the future is a question for the 49ers, and the pick is in.
All right.
I'm going to select Max Ahianachor for the San Francisco 49ers.
Very nice.
Sky high upside. I mean, just talk about he's only been playing football for 4 years, and his tape was so good when you take that into context this year. I think there's a chance he could move out to the left and be the future Trent Williams replacement. And San Francisco's a spot where he'll be eased in. He won't be thrown into the fire day one, which is what he really needs. So I think this is a really good spot for his development and just a future move for the 49ers.
That's my pick at 31.
I'm so upset. I was about to take him at 28, man.
I was going to take him at
That was
31.
going to
That's a
be
great
perfect. It would have been absolutely perfect for them.
Yeah.
Man, that's
No,
unfortunate.
I'm seeing a bit of a trend. I'm seeing a bit of a trend. You know, like the last couple picks, you know, has been sniping each other's picks. So I'm seeing a bit of a
on the offensive lineman tonight. Apparently, is what's happening. But, all right,
Because nobody wants Keldrick Falk.
We'll do we'll do something also slightly different here, but they desperately need help. I mean, they did invest kind of a lot of resources on the offensive line this offseason. They still need help on the interior, whether it's center, whether it's guard, whether it's either guard spot. You know, they signed Wyatt Teller, but he's like 31, so they're going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard from Oregon.
Dude, I wanted him.
So we're gonna go with
it was gonna be Max, but I think definitely the Senior Bowl shot him up the board far enough that I would be surprised if he did last this long. So Emmanuel Pregnon, I think, is exactly what they're gonna need.
All right, Jordan, you are tasked with helping out the crumbling and declining Kansas City Chiefs. So much so they had two first-round picks. Where are we going with pick 29?
Man, I would think that this is a trade out spot for the Chiefs. Maybe like the Cardinals sneak back in and get, you know, Ty Simpson with this pick. That's why they can get, you know, his 5th-year option on that contract. But we'll stay at 29 because the Chiefs need a desperate pass rusher, and there's still one available. So cue the music. And the Chiefs, unfortunately, will be taking the second best pass rusher in the draft in Akeem Mesidor. He's a Chief, and I'm going to hate it, and I'm going to cry.
I said keep the Miami players to a minimum.
Yeah, I see a trend growing here.
And I love it. And if I had pick 32, I would have drafted Keontae Scott without it.
Ruben Bain and Mesidor on Ruben Bain going to Miami obviously was the pick there at 30. They probably I think there's a few ways that they can go. One I think would probably, you know, be corner. The other one maybe would be, you know, the offensive side of the ball. Obviously Miami has, like, in the figurative sense, literally every single pick in this NFL draft. They just got a ton of picks for the 2026 draft. So plenty to work with over here, even in the top 100. So I'm gonna continue the theme of bolstering up the defensive side of the ball. We're gonna go secondary.
Uh-oh. Reunite them.
And we're going to go no relation to CJ2K, but we're going to go with Chris Johnson, the cornerback from San Diego State.
All right.
Jordan would have taken Keontae Scott here, just for the record.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, well, you know, at least one person, myself, knows ball. That puts the New England Patriots on the clock here. This has been a really popular, as you alluded to. This has been a really popular Max Ianachor spot for the Patriots. Are they still going to continue the theme of maybe going a bit of some offensive line and helping out Drake May?
Yeah, I mean, that video of him and Vrabel at the pro day at Arizona State made me think that he was all in on that dude. So that's who I was zeroing in on. But I'm tempted to look at Caleb Lomu for the same reason that we're looking at they were looking at Ianachor. I know they need a wideout, but everybody's kind of off the board in this range. There's some intriguing guys, but I think the pick is in here.
The pick is in for the New England Patriots.
The Patriots are going to go with Caleb Lomu. I don't know how much experience. I think maybe early in his career he played like 15 snaps at right tackle, but I'm also not 100% convinced that Will Campbell is going to be the answer there at left tackle for very long. And so I think that gives them the freedom to say, hey, we can make Lomu the right tackle replacement for Moses Morgan, or he can immediately kind of play on the left side and kick Campbell into guard. And so kind of big physical guy like Lomu, I think will resonate well with Vrabel. So
that puts the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks on the clock at pick 32 to round out this first round mock draft. And David, you and I kind of talked about it in the green room there. It's been a bit of a popular place for Jadarian Price. Are you going to bite the bullet on Jadarian? Is the price right?
Seattle's a good organization. They draft running backs not in the first round. So we're not going with that. Now, at edge, Keldrick Falk is available. But I'm sorry, I'm not spending a first-round pick on an edge who only had 2 sacks last year. That's pathetic. I don't care how you test. That's terrible. All right, you might say, okay, well, Zion Young's available. I'm sorry, man. Dude, you got a 7.67 RAS score. I don't care how good you were, 6.5 sacks, dude. Why aren't you testing better? I'm ready for my pick. Cue it up.
All right.
The Seattle Seahawks continue to invest in premium positions with premium picks. They select cornerback out of Tennessee, Colton Hood, another weapon for Coach McDonald over there.
Colton Hood going to the Seattle Seahawks, and that rounds out the first round mock. What I'll do is I'll download this. And then we'll post it over on the Mainly Broncos Twitter handle. But any thoughts, if you will, on the on the overall mock that we did? It didn't move fast, but I mean, just your guys' quick thoughts.
That's fun. Getting sniped twice on offensive linemen was fantastic.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm looking at this A- the Raiders got and wondering what else I could have done there.
Yeah. Ty Simpson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Orlovsky was giving out the grades, but
yeah, the Pro Football Focus where they tell you you should have drafted this player and everything. So obviously with us rounding out the draft, let's go a sec to just kind of get a poll of where everybody's at, as far as the actual things that might be happening, of the actual things we want to have happen. And obviously, Levi, you have an earlier pick in that second round. We'd ask you what's going to happen with the first overall pick, but we know exactly what's going to happen with that first overall pick. So in the theme of continuing the second round pick, if you will, selections, if you were to kind of go through a bit of your selections or the players that you think are going to be available, who are some of the candidates, the strong candidates for you at pick 36 for the Raiders?
yeah, it's hard because a lot of those guys got taken in this mock draft tonight. I think maybe Raiders fans, myself included, are getting a little too hopeful that all these guys are going to drop. But I'm looking at the visit tracker here. I could see us trading back from 36 if the board falls the way it's been falling here. And Spytek traded back twice last year in round 2, and we have so many needs that on the one hand we could kind of take anybody and we'd be filling a hole, but at the same time we would like to have more picks to continue. I know they like Christian Miller. They met with him a few times. I know they like Lee Hunter. Traden Stukes is a guy that I've recently become very high on just because our secondary is a mess, and not a mess, but we have a lot of different needs. And so he could kind of help us kick the can down the road and see what else shakes in the draft. If we need a free safety, he can play in the slot. If we need a guy in the slot, he can play free safety. So those guys stick out to me as realistic. What are you guys seeing there?
Well, Levi, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Is there any way we could work out a rivalry trade here? We're at pick 62. There's some guys we like, around pick 36. You guys could use a Riley Moss. What gets it done?
Riley Moss, are you guys throwing in a pick too? Future first?
Yeah. Dude, tell us what gets this thing done.
Future first. Get out. Get out of here.
A future first and Riley Moss for Michael Mayer and number 36.
Dude, I do that all day.
I don't know if I would actually. I don't know if I want to include Mayer in that, but
Fine, Brock Bowers.
We'll settle for Brock Bowers.
Yes, settle.
yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of guys, so it's just hard. It's going to be about who falls, I guess, for us. I don't see us being super aggressive, trading back into round 1 or moving up a few spots to get to the top of round 2. I think Spytek loves his picks too much, and so I think if the board falls a certain way, he's just going to trade back.
But do you like if you were to like make a like the firm statement of like, okay, this is going to be the pick at 36, if you will. If you were going to make a prediction, what would you do?
If I had to make a prediction just based on how much they've met with them and positional need, Christian Miller met with them pro day, 30 visit, and at the combine, kind of big athletic defensive tackle, and he can rotate in. We've got a few guys at that spot. He can kind of rotate in and, find his niche. But I mean, that's just based. He's not necessarily my dream pick, but maybe a realistic good pick at that point. But
yeah. Andy, I'll just lead it off with this. What is it that we have to do as far as, because the question is, what are the Broncos going to do at 62? The real question I'm going to ask is, what do we have to do to get off of the AJ Halsey pick at 62?
I had a vision, man. I had a vision, and it's been reoccurring that we're gonna take AJ Halsey with the 62nd pick in the draft. Do I like it? I don't want to take a safety, but I can't get it out of my head. Like every time I close my eyes, I just see AJ Halsey to the Broncos at 62.
Yes.
I can't get it out of my head.
How did it all start? I guess that's probably the most important. Like, how did it all start? And then all of a sudden, you're literally locked now on Halsey to the Broncos at 62.
Well, I have no clue because I want Grayson Halton at 62, the defensive tackle from Oklahoma. But when I try and envision that, it just keeps going back to AJ Halsey. They gotta snap me out of it.
Well, we got Doug Belk. He's going to be pounding the table.
Yeah.
That's half of the reason, yeah.
But so if there's anybody so maybe the appropriate question, I guess, is who would you want them to select? Player, position at 62. And you just say Grayson Halton.
I really want Grayson Halton, the D tackle from Oklahoma. Just so explosive. I think he fits the JFM role to a T. I would really like that fit, and I think it's really good value at 62nd. He came in my top 50, so I don't know if he'll be available at 62, but if he is, I would really like that pick.
Brandon, this is the last chance, obviously, to change possibly like what we would want at pick 62. Have you kind of updated a little bit, or status quo?
I'll change it a little bit. I don't know if this guy's going to be there, but I'll keep it in a similar vein. I think they're going to do something about linebacker. Do they think Kyle Lewis is a linebacker or a safety? I don't know, but they're going to take him because we also need a safety. We need either one of those things. So I would be okay. I love Kyle Lewis. I would be okay with Kyle Lewis playing somewhere on this team. Maybe they play him a safety. Maybe they think he could be a linebacker. I don't know. I can't speak for the team. I think he'd be better at safety, but we also need that. So,
all right.
We go with Kyle Lewis.
David, what about you? Pick 62, Eli Heidenreich.
I wish. We draft every Eli in the draft. We're winning the Super Bowl. A bunch of Elis. But here's the thing. There's like 4 or 5 players, dude, that we need to draft at pick 62. And if it's not one of these guys, we're screwed.
It's actually 6, technically.
Well, yeah, whatever. It's got to be Eli Stowers, Anthony Hill Jr., Grayson Halton, or Jadarian Price. If we don't get one of those 4 players, I'm going to be so pissed off.
What about Jake Goldass from Cincy?
I mean, I'll take him as a consolation. Okay. But yeah, you take another back at 62, Jadarian Price, baby. He's awesome, and we'll win the Super Bowl with him.
Dude, I would love Jadarian Price. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form he's getting there. That's why I've never said him.
Yeah, same with all those other guys that I just listed. We're going to have to trade up. See if we got the balls to do it.
Maybe that's the move that Aqib Talib said is going to happen.
Dude, it better happen, dude. It better be Anthony Hill Jr. He's the number 1 guy I want. God forbid we depend on 33-year-old slow Alex Singleton in a Super Bowl contending season, dude, at inside linebacker. I'm going to lose my mind.
And don't forget Jonah Ellis.
Joan Ellis.
Hey, Riley Moss, Andrew Sanders. For pick 36. Who says no?
Gosh.
He can play both linebacker and edge.
Jordan, what about you with pick 62 and why does it not consist of Keontae Scott?
I mean, I would love it, but it's not gonna happen.
I don't know, man. George Payton.
I mean, if it is Keontae Scott, I'll immediately buy his jersey without even thinking about it. On a realistic note, though, I am looking at you would have to trade up to get Jacob Rodriguez. He's not going to fall all the way down to 62.
Quite a bit. You'd have to trade up quite a bit.
CJ Allen has the tendency of maybe going around the 40s, maybe 50s. So that can be a little trade up. I mean, I highly doubt he falls all the way to 62. Same thing with Anthony Hill. I mean, he's my favorite one of them all. But I have seen some mock drafts of him falling down to 62, which is kind of interesting.
That would be crazy.
I would love Anthony Hill as the pick at 62. Besides that, I mean, I know Caleb Banks. He's been falling off some boards due to injury. He's a Gator, so I really don't like him, but I do understand that his talent is something special. So I can
Brittle
take that
feet.
value. What happened?
He's got brittle feet.
I mean, I can't stand UF guys, but listen, I would understand it for the Broncos. I really would, especially at 62. You would have to, entertain that idea.
The guy that did Bo Nix's ankle surgery sent out a letter saying that he would be cleared for.
I did see that.
Caleb Banks would be cleared for full football activities. So.
Has he done the previous Bo Nix ankle surgeries? I'm curious.
Yeah, which one? I was going to ask.
It's
important.
I'm not feeling great about that. Jordan, say Eli Raritan. Say it. Surprise.
At 62?
Yes.
I do like him, but I do feel like the Broncos if Eli Stowers is available at 62, I think they take him.
Yes. But if he's not, Eli Raritan is Gronkowski.
If Eli Stowers is not there at 62, I would expect the Falcons' phone to be ringing.
Oh, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel something's happening there.
Really?
Something as in the Broncos and Kyle Pitts, or
I think there's a little smoke there. Usually when there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire, so we'll see.
Ooh, okay. And I got one more question, Jordan. What about that other Miami inside linebacker? You think he can be a Bronco on day 3?
Wesley Bassett?
Yes.
If you want someone to be like a Kareem Jackson, just target everybody, that's your guy. I mean, he hits hard, man. I would love Bassett as like a depth linebacker, and he would quickly be a fan favorite in Denver just because of how hard he hits and the way he plays.
Yes.
It'd be fun seeing him get trucked by Mendoza near the goal line with the championship on the line.
No.
Yeah, I know. I knew that was coming. I can't wait to beat Mendoza twice.
You think they're getting close to a championship being on the line?
No, I do not, but I had to throw it in there.
Watch
that one felt rude for me to say. So.
Don't worry, Darian Mintz is winning the whole thing next year. We're good.
Darian Mintz is good. I like him.
Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of gone back and forth on the idea that it's hard for me for them to not ignore going after like a tight end or going after a linebacker or even a running back. And so I think the hardest thing for me is you can never predict when runs on positions happen, right? And when runs on position happen, that's when also teams overdraft possibly on players like running back or other positions. And so it's one where it's I think for right now I will probably say Mike Washington. I will say Mike Washington at 62. One of the Senior Bowl MVPs, if you will.
Yeah.
I want to pose a little scenario. Let's say we're at 62. Eli Stowers is available, but maybe we throw 62 to the Detroit Lions and maybe we get Sam Laporta off their hands. I know there's some Sam Laporta talks and some rumors about that. I wouldn't mind that.
I would like that
take
over
that
Kyle
every
Pitts.
I would like that over
Easily.
Kyle Pitts because I do not think the Lions will pony up the money to Laporta. Just in my
What about Trey McBride?
That's not happening.
Just
That's
no.
not happening. I would love
Plus
it.
Riley Moss and Drew Sanders.
I would do it.
That's where you throw in his future.
Trey
first.
McBride's so good, dude.
Riley
would
Moss
love- I
and
would
Drew
love it.
Sanders get it done.
Come home. Come home to Colorado.
I don't know. A CU Buff guy wanting Trey McBride. I don't know. Something.
Dude, it's just little brother. It ain't that serious over there in Fort Collins. They think it's something that it's not. We just want to play him in the spring game. We don't care to play him in non-conference schedule.
No, I'm definitely excited about like what's going to happen as far as the draft. Obviously, for a Broncos side of things, it's going to be enjoyable. Just kind of sit and watch the first round of the draft just to kind of take place. The last question.
It feels different to do this with no Broncos pick, though. I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie.
Yeah, it does.
Levi down there had 2. Where's ours?
I will say, like, I'll kind of end it with this. Obviously there was probably a few things that are going to end up being stuff that probably doesn't happen. But if you were to call your shot and say for something that might happen as far as a player that's going to be taken in the first round or the surprise of the draft, if you will, what would you say the surprise of the draft for a team player? Who is it? Jordan?
I'm gonna post my mock draft tomorrow, my full first round one, and I'm gonna have this in there. I think, and I 100% agree with Peter Schrager. I think Les Snead is going to be the ultimate joker in this draft. I think he's gonna make a huge trade up. I think he trades up to 5, and I think he gets Jeremiah Love.
Jeremiah Love. Obviously we went with Malachi Lemon in this one, but like Jeremiah Love and Kyron Williams, like,
Yeah.
that's nasty.
Ew.
Well, what about you, Levi? Like, what would you say a surprise would be?
I guess a surprise would be, I guess maybe something I hope, happens is the Chiefs trading up from 9 and giving up that second first rounder maybe. I would be super in favor of that because I'm not sure if the player they're going to get between 3 or 4 and 9 is that big of a difference. I mean, if they want David Bailey, that doesn't scare me necessarily any more than them getting like a Delane at number 9. And so I don't know. The Chiefs are sort of like we're talking about the Rams, where they haven't been up here near the top of the board very often, and so I could see them trying to make something shake and get like a guy that they see as really, really elite, and because they didn't really have a pick near the top of the board in the last few years. So I kind of hope that happens. I guess just because the idea of them having 2 firsts is more scary to me than that.
Yeah. So as far as you guys, Jordan and Brandon, what would you guys say as far as a surprise?
I was going to say the Chiefs trading up to like 3 and getting Jeremiah Love. I would hate it. And at the same time, I get where Levi's coming from. Like, I don't know. Would I rather have that or would I rather have them have 2 first round picks? That's hard because I definitely don't want them to have Jeremiah Love. But that's
good, but
unfortunate bold prediction. I mean, it's really bold, but this Chiefs team does some weird stuff with running backs in the first round. I don't know. Did they learn their lesson? Maybe they did. Maybe that doesn't happen. But
yeah, I don't know.
And then Kenneth Walker.
Yeah,
be a lot of resources in there, but
yeah, trading up for a team that needs a lot of help just feels wrong.
But do they see him as a running back or is he an offensive weapon? Right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
they need offensive weapons.
Andy Reid.
Yeah. But it's going to be a lot of fun, obviously, and the draft will be all over with on Saturday. And and we will know, obviously, who all is going to be taken where. And, Levi's going to have you covered over there with the Raider stuff over there at Just Blog, baby.
Wait, I didn't get to my surprise.
Oh, wait. I was better save the best for last there, David. I apologize.
Yeah. Everyone thinks Ty Simpson's going to be a New York Jet. No. He's going to the Steelers at pick 20. You think Mike McCarthy is going to go into the season with, whoever the hell they got a quarterback right now? It's not Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, this is the kindest way possible. That is not even remotely a surprise.
I don't know.
That's the most Steelers pick they could do.
Yeah,
but that would be a bold prediction. That would be a bold prediction.
Yeah, so he's a first-round pick in the Jets. They're going to be picking one of those other guys, friggin' Carson Beck or somebody like that.
So you really are adopting the fact that Pittsburgh is hosting the draft, and they're going to throw Rodgers under the bus all in one.
It's going to be glorious. I forgot the draft's in Pittsburgh. This is going to be great when they pick Ty Simpson.
Dude,
and I just realized
condolences to Steelers fans, man.
And I just realized too, Tomlin's doing draft coverage. So that would be quite hysterical. Is that Ty Simpson get drafted, and Tomlin's there sitting on the booth, and all of that is transpiring. That would be definitely make for some good entertainment.
Yeah.
Before we leave, obviously, David, since you had the save the best for last for the surprise. What you got cooking over there at your David Talks Buffs, and of course, your David Talks Broncos, and do you have any Huskers content in the works?
Not in the works. If you can hear me over Brandon's typing, dude, that is insane.
I meant to mute it before.
Dude, that was crazy loud. How loud you type. That's awesome. You can find me at David Talks Broncos. I'm gonna put out some more mock drafts tomorrow, and come say hi sometimes. Sometime. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do a collab again.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say the most shows that I think that I've actually done with you, as far as just like an overall crossover, feels like the David Talks Buffs. Like when we would do like the shows of like when it was like a Nebraska versus CU matchup.
Yes.
Those were epic shows. Levi over there at Just Blog, baby. What you got cooking over there?
Bunch of Fernando Mendoza related content tomorrow. Probably react to whatever the rest of the AFC West does. You guys are letting me down with no pick at 30, but yeah, it'd be a whole lot of everything you can handle about Fernando. So
yeah, I guess the real question for you is how many articles are basically in the drafts that are Fernando Mendoza content that are just going to be clicked send the moment Fernando Mendoza is selected as Raiders quarterback.
When he gets selected,
Yeah.
Within the next hour and a half, 4 more probably. So I've got him lined up. I've known this for months. I'm ready. I mean, I got it all.
Y'all need to sign Phillip Rivers to the room too. That would complete the trifecta of quarterbacks who don't say curse words.
Oh yeah, it would be nice. The Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
Be great. Well, we got Aiden O'Connell. I don't think he cusses very much either. So we'll count.
But he doesn't have any aura,
Oh come on, his mustache. Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
What is it? He's the only guy that quarterback wise that probably looks like the actor from Super Troopers.
Oh, Farva, yeah. Hey, it's all right, man.
Thank you guys so much, everybody that was hopping in the chat. Obviously, Andy had experienced some Wi-Fi, but go check out what some Wi-Fi problems, of course. But go check out what Andy does. He does phenomenal work over there at AndyNFL and on his Substack. He supplied us obviously with his big board over here for this first round mock. So thank you guys so much for hopping in. For anybody that is new that hopped in the chat, thank you guys so much for watching the stream with us, watching along. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for the MHRT Network page, as well as the YouTube page for the Mainly Broncos YouTube page, and follow both all of us, if you will, Jordan, at Jordan T. Lopez, at Brandon Miller PO, and obviously David Talks Buffs, and at Levi Dombro, right? It's at Levi Dombro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so make sure you follow the boys. And until next time, Jordan is gonna. I will force Jordan to fly solo next week, just to do a solo show, since Brandon's got something that I think it seems right. We'll let Jordan just do a solo show, solo stream, solo and do like a solo reaction. It might be, one of the I don't know, shows that if all goes wrong with the Denver Broncos, it actually might be like peak television or peak streaming. But no, make sure you tune into next week. We'll definitely be having you covered. So thank you guys so much for hopping in, and we will see you guys next week with some new additions for obviously Levi's Las Vegas Raiders, and then the Denver Broncos. And of course, it's always so fitting to end it with a God bless Bo Nix, of course, with Levi in the house.
Let's go Broncos! God bless Bo Nix!
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my life.